Kitina Mansell is a Palawa cultural knowledge holder whose work is based here at Kitina or Risdon Cove on the banks of the River Derwent, just a few kilometres from Hobart.
Ya Pulingina to Kitina. So welcome to Kitina, also known as Risdon Cove.
Over the last few years, Kitina's been building a reputation for her skill in educating people about the bush foods of Lutruwita. Kitina manages a high-end bush food catering company and regularly takes groups on Kipli Takara, or bush tucker tours of Kitina. You are an incredibly busy human being. What is it that drives you to do so much?
Well, I think a lot of people come to Australia or Lutruwita, Tasmania, and they want to know what is the Australian cuisine or what is the Aboriginal food cuisine. It's really important that I take this responsibility now that I've got my foot in the door and really drive it to make sure that everyone that comes and visits our country knows what our food is. So I think it's really important that we have a story, and it's really unique that we have that history that can go up to 65,000 years of traditional food. So it's a great opportunity to really just share culture and educate through what is on that plate.
Because everyone wants to eat, don't they?
Yes.
And there's always a good story behind what you're eating.
Exactly.
Kitina is taking me for a walk to show me some of the bush foods growing around Kitina. All the tours she leads here begin with taking a moment to honour the history of this place.
This land has been a very significant part of the Palawa community and history. Our people had been fighting for this land for a very long time, and we were rightfully given back this land in 1995. However, there is a deep, dark history that happened here, which was the first impact of colonisation. So a massacre happened here in 1804. But now that we've been able to get this land back to the traditional owners, the Palawa people, we've now been able to connect back to our roots and our culture and really thrive as a community back on our land again. So here we're very lucky to have 4 species of wattle. So this one here is the blackwood. As you can see, these pods here have all the seeds. And so our old people used to grind it down with a grinding stone and then roast them up on the coals and use it for spices and herbs. So it's a great nutty kind of flavour. And today we've been able to experiment on that and using it in coffee and ice cream. It's got a beautiful nutty kind of coffee flavour.
Delicious. And do you also use the blossoms?
Yeah. And so the blossoms here, we just infuse that into the butter for a couple of hours and you get this really nice kind of fragrance coming through the butter, and it just lifts the butter up beautifully.
Sounds really good.
So this one is called Timputina in Palawakani, but also the common name is Kunzia ambigua. So it's got a beautiful kind of tea tree smell if you just crush that into your fingers and give it a smell.
Oh, it's just so nice. And what are some of the favourite ways that you like to cook with it?
I love to cook with it for the wallaby, the pint tanima. So when we cook it on the fire, we get all the coals down, and so we've got a really nice flat surface, and we put all the kunzia leaves on the bottom under the wallaby, so all the smoke comes through. It's almost like a kind of rosemary and thyme in one with a hint of lemon.
Yeah, it reminds me of thyme, but it's better.
Yeah,
I think it's better.
Way better. My mum wants to eventually try to convince her. So Hannah, do you know what this one is here?
Ooh, that's a native pig face.
Yes, but in Palawakani, we call this kanigong.
Kanigong. Oh, I must admit that's a heaps nicer name.
Yes, and we always want to use the original names. I think it's really important to start using the traditional names for these plants. And these plants have so many different uses, and this one's actually one of my favourite.
Ooh, tell me more. Like, why your favourite, and what are all the uses that you like? Tell me everything.
Well, for someone that isn't as experienced in gardening as you, I think this one's really good because you don't have to maintain it. It just grows so quickly and widespread. It's actually a coastal plant, but luckily we've been able to grow some here at Kitina. And so the medicinal use is actually using the succulent leaves and using the juices, similar to aloe vera.
Ooh.
And so what we do is rub the juices onto our skin for any sunburns or mosquito bites. I'm allergic to them, so it's always been a good thing for me.
Yeah.
But also using them in food.
Yeah.
And so what we do is infuse them with some pepperberry vinegar and use it as a crunchy slaw for our bush tucker tacos.
What? That's so cool. Wow.
Hasn't once said run a tour or do catering, so. The she oak has many different uses, and the first one being that my old people used to bite into these leaves and get all the very sour kind of lemon flavours out. And when you mix that into your saliva, it actually stops you from being thirsty. So it's a great survival plant. Once these branchlets die off and get a bit dry, it's really good for starting fires. But also these little emerging cones. So once those open up, which you can put in a brown paper bag at home, shake it up and you can get all the seeds out of it, which is great for making bread. You need to try this one here.
Ooh. What do you call this?
Well, we call it native clover, but if you try it, it honestly just tastes like a little bit appley, maybe even apple skin.
And it's got purple underbelly and green tops.
Yes.
That's the key ID.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it does taste good. Oh, I like that very much. As a traditional owner, you have both cultural and legal permission to forage. Why is that really important?
I think it's important for our community to still connect to our foods and land and make sure that we continue on these practices. So it really gives us an opportunity to have the ownership of that and to really be the educators around those foods.
It's really wonderful to see such a surge of popularity when it comes to bush foods. And it's an industry that's worth millions of dollars, but less than 3% of the bush foods industry is First Nations owned. So what can we do about that?
It's really important to make sure that we support Aboriginal people in the industry. And so I guess we see a big barrier is land as well. Where can we grow and be able to produce all of these native ingredients if we don't have the land to regrow it? So it's all just coming hand in hand between land ownership and bush food ownership and making sure that we support Aboriginal people to get more land returned back to their communities and making sure that we are looking at how can we better support Aboriginal people for going to use their traditional foods. So I think it really comes into a collaboration between other businesses, also just individuals really supporting Aboriginal people to grow that percentage in the industry.